Okay, hello everybody. My name is Jason. I'm going to go over my install of my VIAIR 10007 onboard air system and also my HornBlasters Rocker air horn that I installed. And before I get started, I just want to say thank you to TJ. Your install video is what helped me put this on, and I'll tell you, this is my first project, so I followed your instructions and it came out very well, but without your how-to video I wouldn't have been able to do it. So let me just go over everything here that I did, and let's get started. Okay, so first, the first thing you'll need to do is mount your compressor. I chose to mount it on the frame rail. I also used VIAIR's mounting bracket that they sell for the compressor for the 10007. It actually fits a couple different models, as you can see with all the slots there. So you can pick that up for 20 bucks. It's well worth it. It keeps the compressor up and upright and level. VIAIR says that if you mount the compressor on its side, it could deplete some of its life, but it is an oilless air compressor, so it's not going to leak oil or anything if you do mount it on its side, but I chose to mount it vertical. That line runs across along with all the power wires over to the power switch, or the pressure switch. I also chose to get an air regulator, which is set at 90 psi, and that is hooked directly to, I have a line here on the side of the truck, and then I also ran a line on the opposite side of the truck to make it easier to get to all four tires. And as you can see, I used a T right there with the push-to-release fittings. They're just way easier to use. The stuff that VIAIR gives you works, but those compression fittings are not very good. I would strongly recommend that you get the push-to-release ones, and they're stainless. You can get them online on Amazon or wherever. But as you can see, I've got my pressure set at 90 psi. So, okay, so this is the pressure switch right here, alright, and then on the bottom here, this line runs out, and I actually had to use a split connector here. I had to use a quick connect because where I could mount the tank was too far away from the compressor, so I had to engineer my own way of doing it, which I plan on fixing at some point. Just for now, this is what's working. And I've actually had this compressor on the truck now for about 2 or 3 weeks. And the other thing that I'm going to be changing in the future is I mounted the tank on its side because it was the only way I could figure to get the tank in here in the space I had. If you look, you can see there on the frame where it actually mounts on both sides. It's not optimal, but the problem is without drilling into the flanges of the frame to put a mounting bracket, which Ford strongly recommends you don't do, this is the only other way to do it until I engineer my own brackets, which I haven't done yet because it's just too cold here. But as we come down here on the other side of the tank, you can see this is the line. This is the heavy 1/2-inch NPT line, air line, that runs across underneath the truck over to the air horn, which is on the other side of the truck underneath the passenger side. And this line right here is the line that runs back and runs into my air regulator, which is right there. I also chose to put on the screw to release here, this air valve that lets all the pressure out of the tank. And you can see a little bit of rust, and that there's nothing I can really do about that because the tank is a steel tank, so it's going to rust. But that's how I hooked up the air tank and air pressure switch on this side of the truck. Now this is under the passenger side. This is all I was able to do. There's not really a lot of room. I mean, there's enough room to make it happen, but there's not really a lot of room. Now, I chose to run all the electrical wire up and underneath the truck to the back of the cab, where in TJ's video he runs his air line. I also ran the power wire back through there because it was just way easier than trying to go around the truck. So that's the way I chose to do it. But now I'm going to slide over to the other side of the truck and show you the solenoid and the air horn setup. Okay, so now I'm on the driver's side, and you can see this is the other end. This is the other line where you have air access on both sides of the truck. Now, the solenoid that comes with the HornBlasters, it looks like this. The one thing I will tell you is it is not a pass-through system. What I mean by that is you can't run it either way. I made that mistake at first. I hooked it up opposite, and that was just a first-timer's mistake. I made that mistake, and I couldn't figure out where the air leak was. It was in the solenoid. So I reversed that, and it's good to go. I just drilled 2 holes here and mounted it with its own mounting bracket that it already comes with, and then I hooked the electrical wires up. One thing I did notice on the solenoid, I actually had to call HornBlasters, is the wires coming out of the solenoid are both gray. They don't mark a negative and a positive. So I called them and they said it doesn't matter, you can hook them up either way. So I hooked them up and they work, so I guess they're right. And then these 2 air lines, these are 3/8 air lines that come with the horns. And as you can see, there's the horns up against the frame. Now, when the air lines run out of here, you can see these little elbows up there. The one thing that HornBlaster doesn't do is they don't give you any instructions when you order these. Mine just came with 2 horns, some air lines, and some couplers. So I actually accidentally over-torqued one. I didn't know that it was only supposed to go on 3 or 4 turns on the top. So I actually had to call HornBlasters and get them to send me a new one, which they did, but it cost me $30. So just make sure when you guys put these on, if you are going to do them, that you you know, don't over torque them. I also had to engineer my own mounting bracket. As you can see, I used angled aluminum to make the bracket, and there's already plenty of holes here on the frame as it is that you can utilize, as you can see. And then you just drill 2 holes up through, and I also used some JB weld on the bottom of the horns just to secure them a little bit more, but they are secure with a bolt. It's just I don't have anything on the front here holding the front of the horns, as you can see, so I chose to put a little bit more JB weld on there. But those are the horns. Pretty simple, actually. You know, this big 1/2-inch line runs across the truck and over into my air tank direct. There is no pressure regulator on it. It requires 120 psi. The max psi out of the VIAIR system is 150 psi. So there's plenty of air pressure. So that's it for that. Okay, so now on the front of the truck here, this is a 2012 Ford Super Duty King Ranch with the 6.7 diesel. In the front here, there's actually this right here is your horn switch. This is actually your horn. The yellow line that runs into it is the power wire to it, and that activates when you press the horn. So that's what you got to tie into and run back through your firewall in order to get the in order to tie into the relay for your solenoid. So that's where you hook into that, and just wanted to show you all that. Let me move into the truck now. Okay, so we're back in the truck here, and the way everything runs is everything was run. There's a signal wire that runs from the horn in the front. It runs through the firewall, and then your power wire and your ground will come up from the solenoid, and that'll be grounded to the truck, and that all gets hooked in to the relay, which all goes underneath the steering column. And once that's hooked up, you also have your power wire, which is hooked into auxiliary, well, whichever auxiliary you decide to. I hooked it into auxiliary number 2 because it requires 22 amps total, and this is a 25 amp breaker. So auxiliary 2 is my compressor, which you just heard shut off there a second ago. And when I flip that up, you don't have to have the compressor up for it to power the horn. The horn relay I have set on auxiliary 3, and as you can see, when you hit the horn, there's nothing going there. But when you flip that auxiliary 3, that activates the solenoid, and you can hear the horn. Turn auxiliary 3 off, and normal horn. Auxiliary 3 back on, and blasted the train horn. Now it will last about 8 seconds. That's what the VIAIR 2.5 gallon can support. After that, it will kind of dwindle down a little bit. You'll still hear a little bit of noise, but it does take a lot of air to run those horns. So that's it for in the truck. So I hope this video helps you guys. TJ, thanks again, buddy. I appreciate it. I appreciate all your help. I appreciate the video, the how-to video. I'm also going to be using your video to do the fuel filters and things of that nature. I appreciate it a lot. And if you guys have any questions with some of my trial and errors, you know, I'm a first-timer. This was my first project. So it took a little over 2.5 days to get this done and buttoned up. But I learned a lot of things along the way. And it was definitely a great experience. And if you have any questions, please feel free to hit me up. Thanks.